Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shadow at Night for Wednesday, October the 29th, 2025. Hello, everybody in the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. So Alan's in there and Deb's in there. Kevin's in there. Darcy, hello, Lana. How are you guys doing? Lorraine? Wow, there's some interesting posts in here I haven't yet seen. Barb, Hope, Cora, Rita's in there as well. If you guys are going to become all access members before this show goes off social media on Friday night is the last night. We'll continue on, of course, at shadowdavis.com with the show the following Monday. And so if you want to see the show in its entirety, you have to become an all access member at shadowdavis.com, just like it's spelled right down there. But also, I implore you to become a member of the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. Those people are amazing. And if you're looking for information that goes deeper, a lot of people come to me. Well, not come to me physically. They'll message me or email me, even text me if I know them, and they have my number. And they'll say, you know what, Shadow, I like what you do. I like your show. I think it's good. And I say, well, thank you. But what's the but? You don't go far enough. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there are limits on social media to how far we can go before the social media giants and the government, for that matter, just decides that's enough. Keep in mind with Bill C8 and Bill C9 and C2, and if they try to bring back C63, that's it. There's not going to be any free speech left in Canada, and I think that's what Carney wants. He's going to follow the lead of the UK in this situation. Then we have to go to our own sources. That's one of the reasons I created the website in the first place, so we could not be censored. Having said that, content will still be posted to Facebook and to YouTube, all the usual channels, just not the live show. So if you want the live show experience still, you want the community aspect of it, you want to know everything that's going on, you don't want to have to go to 18 different sources, you want to come here, awesome. Become a member, an all-access member at shadowdavis.com. Do it in the next couple of days. Because, like I said, this show is going off the air, off social media air on Friday night. Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Silver is amazing. It has several natural health benefits, and it's been used for hundreds of years for health and healing. That's the main reason they made silverware from silver. But seriously, this nano silver from Silverceuticals is the best and safest silver you can find. There are hundreds of studies and reports on it. I've read some of the studies myself, and it's mind-blowing. One of the things that sets Silverceuticals apart is that it washes out of your body in 24 hours. No silver buildup, and no turning blue. And it won't even harm the good bacteria your body needs. It's so effective, they can use very small concentrations of silver, like 10 and 32 parts per million, and still outperform other silvers that have up to 3,000 parts per million. It's safer and more effective at the same time. It is an incredibly small particle that is small enough to work through your body, but big enough not to fall out of suspension. They infuse it into almost all of their products. It works in facial serums, toothpaste, gels, and even gummies that work to help your immune system.
Oh, you gotta love them gummies. I love the gummies. The gummies are amazing. The gummies help your immune system. They really help your immune system, but they taste so good. It's like those little chewy sugar bear things that you can buy at Safeway or wherever you shop, and you want to eat them all at one time, but you don't, because you're supposed to have maybe 2 a day. Really bucks up your immune system. There's the facial serum, there's the lozenges, all the great stuff. CanadaNanoSilver.com. Hello, Tony, watching on X in Calgary. Mireille is watching in Lacombe. Hello, Debbie in Kipling. Carla's in Calgary. Hello, Jonathan in Ohio. Cheryl's watching tonight from Alberta. Lots of Alberta tonight. Hello, Nikita, or is it Rennie? Or both. Hello from the West, she says, or he says. Rita's watching tonight from Tabor, Alberta. Brian is watching in PEI. Vicky in Nova Scotia. Chris is watching in Northern New York State. Hello, Leanne, Robert, Kathy, Sandra, Christina, Debbie, whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's Rumble, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch even. I know I forgot one in there. Don't forget to like and share. Get this out to as many people as you possibly can. Okay, so Mark Carney spoke to the media this morning. He's on this 9-day tour of ASEA, as he called it in a press conference today. ASEA. Now you're thinking, what the heck is that? What's like he said it in this press conference. I'm editing the video. I'm looking at this going, what the? Oh, right. This is like back in the 80s when they tried to start calling Adidas Adidas. And that went over like a lead balloon. So they're trying ASEA now. Asia. Like we've been taught all of our lives. Anyway, Carney spoke to the media this morning. The media, at least the left-wing Canadian corporate media, didn't ask him, hey, did you see the ad before it went out? They didn't ask him that. I watched all 20 minutes of it. They did not, believe it or not, they asked him about the ad, just not that particular question. Yesterday in the House of Commons, Pierre Poilievre was hammering Dominic LeBlanc. He's the minister in charge of U.S.-Canada relations. He got nowhere, but it certainly made a splash because he had to get up and ask the same question. I think it's 5 times, maybe 6. I've condensed it for you. Let's have a look.
Yes or no? Did the Prime Minister see the ad before it went out?
Mr. Speaker, as I said a moment ago, our government is committed to working with all partners in our federation.
So the question is, yes or no? Did the Prime Minister or anyone on his staff see the ad before it went out? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to doing the serious work necessary to get a deal with the United States and to build a strong, resilient Canadian economy.
Did the Prime Minister or his staff see the ad before it went out? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, I can imagine the frustration that the Leader of the Opposition feels when he sees a Prime Minister elected to take this serious economic and sovereignty challenge.
Did he or his staff see the ad before it went out? Yes or no?
Again, Mr. Speaker, I can understand the Leader of the Opposition may be frustrated for a whole series of reasons. He's got a caucus meeting coming up this week. He may be very concerned about that as well.
He looked those workers in the eyes and he said he would have a good deal by July 21st, and he broke his promise. Now he's blaming an ad. He has a duty to say whether or not he saw the ad that he says blew up the so-called deal he had. So will he do the honest thing and answer the question, did he see the ad, or is it actually his incompetence?
Mr. Speaker, just because the Leader of the Opposition keeps asserting the same fake premise doesn't make it real.
Same fake premise. Okay, hang on to that for just a couple of minutes. Oh, and by the way, I totally understand when we're watching Question Period in the House of Commons, we're watching a show. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that it's rehearsed, that these guys have got lines that they memorize every night before they go to bed. This was the press conference after that incredibly frustrating back and forth with Dominic LeBlanc.
What do you think of how that was handled, whether or not that ad should have been pulled faster?
It's a good question for Mr. Carney. Mark Carney approved the ad. And then he claimed, after the ad started running, that the ad was the reason why no deal happened. So it's time for Mark Carney to come clean. He claims he was on the verge, once again, claims that he was on the verge of getting a deal. Then he approved the ad, and then he blamed the ad for the fact that there is no deal. So the reality is that premiers are stepping up to fill the void left behind by Mark Carney's broken promise. He said he would negotiate a win. He said he would have a deal by July 21st. Still no deal, still no win, still no elbows, still no jobs. And if I could. And now Mark Carney is looking for someone to blame for his broken promises, and he's blaming an ad that he approved. So it's time for Mark Carney to stop blaming others and start keeping his promises, his promise being that he would get a deal, that he would lower the tariffs, and then he would get the job done. He has not done that.
Monsieur Poilievre, excusez-moi,
Bring down
je
the
vais donner
government
mon
with
tour
this
de-
budget. Would you like to bring down the government with this budget? Do you want an election?
We want an affordable budget for an affordable Canada. After 10 years of Liberal inflationary taxes and debt, Canadians can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves. And our message to the Liberals is that we want an affordable budget for an affordable Canada. We want the government to bring down the cost of its spending so we can bring down the cost of living. And so it will be up to them. If they're going to if they're going to increase the cost of living for Canadians again with more inflationary spending, then the Canadians will judge them accordingly. And let's be honest, every dollar the Liberals spend comes out of the pockets of Canadians. The more they spend, the more things cost. That's why we want the Prime Minister to reverse course from the last Liberal decade.
Notice, by the way, and because I've seen this a few times today, I'm looking at everything, right? All of the people behind him are women. Was there something about women today? Is that purple pin that he's wearing something? Is there a Women's Day today that I missed out on? Is there something like that? Is it woke? I hope not. The one to his left looks like a deer in the headlights. Anyway, let's finish this off.
Keep his promise, bring down the cost of government so we can bring down the cost of living.
Don't forget the budget comes out next Tuesday, and I think it's going to be a nail biter in the House of Commons. The Bank of Canada Governor, Tiff Macklem, had some, they lowered the interest rate today. You know why they do that, right? I think you probably do, but as a refresher, it's to stimulate the economy. People are sitting on their hands right now. They don't want to spend money because they're scared or nervous in this fragile economy. They want to hang on to every penny they've got. And so if you lower interest rates, the thought behind that is, well, now maybe we can afford that big ticket item that we couldn't afford before, even if it's only 0.25%, which is what it came down by today. But Tiff Macklem also had some alarming words for Canadians, which we're going to get to in just a second. Mark Carney was speaking to reporters today from somewhere in Asia. Watch.
At Premier Doug Ford for running this ad? If this is true that this ad spoiled something that was very close?
Look, I'd say the following, which is that in any complicated, high-stakes negotiation, you can get unexpected twists and turns, and you have to keep your cool during those situations. It doesn't pay to be upset. Emotions don't carry you very far. And we had made progress, to repeat, and we stand by the progress that had been made. The Government of Canada does, and we are ready when appropriate to pick that up. And I'll just re-emphasize that it is the responsibility of the Government of Canada to have these negotiations. And others will have opinions, and others welcome free advice, unsolicited advice is entirely appropriate. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in these negotiations. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in the fact that we're making progress in ASEAN, that we have the agreement with Indonesia, that we have just decided to accelerate trade
ASEAN
talks with Philippines, with ASEAN as a whole.
With ASEAN as a whole. Okay. I think of myself as a fairly well-informed individual, not in the woke sense, just in terms of what the hell is going on in the world. Not from that woke perspective, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Are they calling it ASEAN now? Is this something that I missed? I just wasn't paying attention. Oh, by the way, you pronounce it ASEAN now. Oh, I'll get right on that. What are your pronouns? Okay, so again, left-wing corporate media doesn't ask Mark Carney if he saw the ad and approved the ad before Doug Ford sent it out, spent $75 million getting it out there to American red states to embarrass Donald Trump, even though Doug Ford says that wasn't the intent. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has revealed that Mark Carney was present in the room when reviewing the controversial Reagan ad that led to Donald Trump canceling trade talks. Don't take it from me, though. Let's go to the horse's mouth.
The Reagan ad, how do you know the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff saw this particular ad before you moved ahead with airing it?
I was with them.
Did they express concern when you were with them?
I'm not going to talk about our private conversation at all. I told them that we're running it. I'm going to cut it off on Monday, and that's it. I think it was it was the right thing to do. It stirred a conversation like I've never seen before. But I saw a poll on CNN that Canada is way more popular than the president with the American people.
Oh, you saw a poll on CNN. Why are you watching CNN? That's some of the most left-wing biased stuff out there. That and MSNBC. So he proves to everybody, just by saying that little thing, that he's not really a conservative. Not really a conservative. And this is the problem that we have in this country. People running around calling themselves conservatives when they're clearly not conservative. Doug Ford, pretty much every leader of a PC party in Atlantic Canada, whether they're premiers or leaders of opposition. Manitoba doesn't have a conservative party anymore. I'm not sure what the hell's going on in Quebec. BC, we know there is a conservative party, but they only have 5% of the vote, according to the latest Angus Reid poll that came out a couple of days ago. That would be one BC. But then again, if they can force John Rustad to resign as the leader of the BC Conservative Party, maybe somebody like Jordan Keeley would step up and win the reins of leadership and straighten that party out, because they are leading in the polls. Believe it or not, the NDP is so disfavored by most of that province that even leaderless or with a bad leader like John Rustad, the BC Conservative Party may just win the next election, which isn't for 3 years. Unless, of course, something crazy happens, because the NDP has only got like a 1 or 2 seat majority. It's pretty tight. Additionally, Doug Ford said during that press conference that he wants an apology from the U.S. ambassador after an expletive tirade as trade talks between the two countries ground to a halt. I'll get to that story in a second. While announcing the start of infrastructure development for Ontario's Ring of Fire aimed at mining and refining natural minerals in a partnership with the local Webiki First Nation, Ford called on U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra to apologize for dressing down Ontario's delegate and criticized Trump further. He's got to shut his freaking pie hole. Okay, this is the story from the from the CBC. U.S. ambassador to Canada goes on expletive-laced tirade at Ontario's trade representative. Witnesses say. Incident happened at the Canadian American Business Council gathering in Ottawa. There he is there. Pete Hoekstra. The U.S. ambassador to Canada delivered a F-bomb laced tirade at Ontario's trade representative at an event in Ottawa on Monday. Multiple witnesses told the CBC. Word spread quickly through some of the most powerful circles in Ottawa and Washington after the encounter, which happened during the Canadian American Business Council's State of the Relationship event at the National Gallery of Canada. Typically, the high-profile gathering is used to network and celebrate the Canada-U.S. relationship. It draws a mix of cabinet ministers, diplomats, business leaders. Monday night's event drew Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand and Dominic LeBlanc, the Minister for Canada-U.S. Trade. Witnesses say they saw Pete Hoekstra, the U.S. ambassador, launch into an F-bomb laden tirade at Ontario's trade representative David Patterson.
Oh my God, is he cursing?
I think we need more of that in government. Never mind all these evening gowns and high heels and tuxedos. Come on. glittery crowns. Forget that crap. Blue jeans, plaid shirts, baby. F-bombs flying. Rye. No champagne. Beer. Witnesses say, one witness said Hoekstra appeared to be upset. I wonder if he was hammered. Too much champagne. Appeared to be upset about the anti-tariff ad that the province recently ran on television in the U.S., which has infuriated Donald Trump. The witness said Hoekstra could be heard using the F word, also mentioned Ontario Premier Doug Ford by name. The sources spoke with the CBC on the condition that they not be named. You know what this is? It's not news. You know what it is? It's gossip. This is the CBC engaging in gossip. Have you guys seen this ad, by the way? Have you seen the, I think I have it here somewhere. I made a point of downloading it today. Let's see. It's here somewhere. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Oh, yeah, here it is. All right, so this is the ad that cost $75 million. Watch.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
So some fancy editing, some phrases taken out of context. The Reagan group down in the United States say, this is wrong. This was delivered completely and totally against what President Reagan believed in. That's what they say. And up here, they're saying, well, that's absolutely historically accurate. Either way, that's the commercial that cost $75 million. Now, there are some accounts on X that went, I could swear I've seen that ad somewhere before. And then one account called Table Salt went, I think China's X account put up a post kind of like that back in the spring when Trump started really hitting with the tariffs worldwide. And so Table Salt put that commercial we just saw up right next to the Chinese post from the spring. Amazingly similar.
Let's impose tariffs on foreign imports. It looks like they're doing the patriotic.
By the way, the Chinese embassy in the U.S., their post, that's on, I guess it would be the left side, the right side of your screen. My apologies.
Thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. The triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. On foreign imports. It looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. The triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
That's better. Now, Anita Anand says we have some kind of strategic partnership with China. We have nothing with the United States right now. Why would a government want to partner with a totalitarian, authoritarian, communist regime like China over a democratic republic like the United States, where freedom is like number one baby? That's really one of the questions that people should be asking, but for some reason, they're just not. And the left-wing corporate media obviously has their heads right up their asses. Bank of Canada has lowered policy rate to 2.25%. That happened this morning, 25 basis points, 2.25%, with the bank rate at 2.5%, deposit rates at 2.2%. But there's more. I mean, this is good news, obviously, if you're looking to buy a house or a big ticket item that you're going to make payments on, right? Sure. But there's more to it. Tiff Macklem is the governor of the Bank of Canada, and here's what he said today.
Fortunately, what that means is that unless something else changes, our incomes will be lower than they otherwise would have been. They'll grow, but they'll grow along a low. This was the old path. Now there's a new path, which is below the old path. There are things the country can do to try to bend that curve up, but those aren't things monetary policy can do. These are more structural changes. I mean, fundamentally, as a senior deputy governor is hammered many times, we need to get our productivity growth up. And if we can do that as a country, we can bend that curve up. So, I mean, I think what's most concerning is that unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been.
Unless we change some things. And that's structural stuff, by the way. That's stuff that the government could change tomorrow to make our standard of living go back to where it should be, go back to where we've always known it should be. But they refuse. And that one thing has everything to do with climate change. I got an email from a viewer this morning from Richmond, British Columbia. They had a town hall meeting last night to discuss the Cowichan situation and the property situation. And his name is Ian. And Ian said, "Greetings, Shadow. I've compiled the following highlights from the City of Richmond town hall meeting about the recent court award to the Cowichan tribe of Aboriginal title to now disputed privately held fee simple land in Richmond, British Columbia. At the City of Richmond Town Hall meeting, over 1,000 people, in my estimate, turned up. I was physically there, did a rough count. The mayor, council members, lawyers, the Attorney General of BC, and the official leader of the opposition in BC, John Rustad, was there, among many of the longtime Richmond families like mine who have resided in Richmond or had property there around 50 years or more, many for 3 or 4 generations. The meeting was about the recent court award to the Cowichan tribe of their claimed ancestral lands, which affects up to 150 properties that up until recently belonged to individuals, families, and businesses who purchased it legally over the past probably 100 years or so from the province of BC, i.e. the Crown. The following are key points from the meeting. 1, property owners weren't notified of the litigation against their property titles during the entire 11-year trial by anyone. Nobody knew. The Cowichan tribe, City of Richmond, province, and federal government neglected their duty to notify property owners that their titles were under threat. Many of the residents only found out they had lost their titles this week from the City of Richmond letter they received about the town hall meeting and subsequent media coverage. Some residents have already been denied mortgage renewals and insurance for their properties. Bank won't renew their mortgages. The City of Richmond denies any responsibility or legal liability for their losses and directs concerned citizens to the Crown, i.e. province and federal government, to air their grievances. The City of Richmond did not offer a very good reason as to why they didn't notify the now former property owners of the legal proceedings against their property titles, except to say that it was up to the plaintiff, the Cowichan tribe, to do so. Many citizens expressed their anger at the mayor. Legally, it was the plaintiff who was responsible for notifying affected parties of the suit against their titles. The Cowichan tribe felt it had no obligation to notify the owners because they said the province are the ones who issued the fee simple titles to property they didn't legally possess or have the ability to sell. Oh my God. So those affected individuals held void titles, and the court ultimately agreed with their position, effectively stating that those people were just collateral damage for the province's error. We're not living in a serious country. The city of Richmond argued in court during the trial that property owners should be notified, but the judge denied their request. The justice presiding was allegedly appointed as a judge a few years before the trial without any prior legal background. There will be no refund on taxes paid or pause on taxes owing on the properties while the owners continue to occupy them or afterwards. Property owners report they are now unable to sell their land. Property owners expressed concern they have lost all the value in their properties. Residents are encouraged to lawyer up and attempt to gain intervener status in the case because they've been directly affected by this. You think? This is ridiculous. The city of Richmond is offering zero assistance, financial, legal, or otherwise, to affected residents, but would love to hear about their problems getting loans, insurance, or sales, as they feel this is useful evidence. The issue that some have raised, that Aboriginal title and fee simple title can coexist, is nonsense because they can both, by definition, give full and absolute rights of use, occupation, and control over the land. The Cowichan tribes have stated publicly in the news media that they are not after people's privately held property, but that is exactly what they stated they were after in court. A statement by the Cowichan tribe lawyer from the trial proceedings was paraphrased by the mayor and read aloud. The lawyer's statement from trial directly contradicts the public statements made by the Cowichan tribe to the media. The City of Richmond lawyers are arguing in their appeal that extinguishment applies, meaning that Section 23 and 25 of the BC Provincial Land Titles Act about fee simple title extinguishes all other claims to the land, including Aboriginal title. Interestingly, the province of British Columbia did not argue extinguishment, which the city lawyers feel causes harm to their claim. The Attorney General of BC did not offer a coherent or concise legal argument that they were putting forward in their appeal, except to say that BC needs a land title system that people can trust and rely on. We thought we had one. And that we need to work together on reconciliation. My God, her reasons sounded more like wishes than legal arguments. Keep in mind, she is an NDP member, right? The AG of BC is an NDP MLA. The Attorney General of BC ran away from the podium after her statement, and attempts to placate the crowd did not remain for questions. The Government of Canada argued extinguishment originally in their court filings and then removed it from their filings in 2018 without reason and never argued it again. The City of Richmond lawyers encourage all affected parties and concerned citizens to demand the governments argue extinguishment and ask them why they are not. The City of Richmond lawyers state that if they had not argued for extinguishment in the appeal, there was no other proper legal argument brought forward by the governments to appeal Justice Young's decision. They did it on purpose, it sounds like, because they knew what was about to happen, all this UNDRIP stuff. The Cowichan tribe also appealed the decision because they were not granted all the land they were seeking, only part of it, so the remaining lands in the claim are still under dispute and as a result are affected by this ruling in ways mentioned above. Other tribes like Tawasin and Musqueam bands also claim the territory as their own, and they've appealed the decision as well. They can fight over it. It was stated there are over 200,000 Aboriginal land claims in Canada, and this case is precedent-setting, will be used in future litigation. Per John Rustad, BC's official leader of the opposition, 108% of British Columbia, or so I guess he meant to say 100% of BC is claimed by Aboriginals as their own. According to the City of Richmond lawyers, the consequences of this Aboriginal title award are far-reaching. They state this ruling unravels the fee simple title system and completely undermines it, which could effectively nullify everyone's titles to their land as this winds its way through the courts. The city lawyers state this could take upwards of 5 years to wind through the system, maybe longer. After the meeting, I brought up with one of the city lawyers that Justice Young had referenced that Canada and BC had legislated UNDRIP and DRIPA into law in her ruling, and the city should be demanding the government's repeal UNDRIP and DRIPA right away because it negatively affects their arguments for extinguishment under Section 23 and 25 of the BC Provincial Land Titles Act. The lawyer did not seem to want to discuss this and looked physically uncomfortable when I brought it up. I pointed out to the lawyer that UNDRIP and DRIPA effectively nullify his argument and have usurped the BC Land Titles Act because Aboriginal title is now considered senior to fee simple title. Ian says, it's my opinion that the city lawyers are completely aware of UNDRIP and DRIPA, undermining their arguments, and that's why they neglected to bring up the pair of legislations, federal and BC, at town hall. UNDRIP and DRIPA were the giant elephant in the room that nobody could see. They were not mentioned at all in the main town hall meeting, and unfortunately, I was unable to bring it up because only those on the immediate direct affected properties list were invited to speak. It's my opinion the city, province, and federal appeals will be thrown out unless UNDRIP and DRIPA are repealed. The city of Richmond said they now have an informational page on their website dedicated to this issue. For more information, sincerely, Ian Furstrand. Thank you very much, Ian, for that detailed email that you sent me this morning. Here is the mayor of Richmond speaking to the media after the meeting last night, Malcolm Brody.
Call to the fire tonight, wondering about what you think about the homeowners asking why they weren't notified in 2014.
Yeah. Well, you heard the answers. We've been working very hard on this case. We have gone through over 500 days of court hearings. We waited for the decision for 2 years before that. Application was made to have the plaintiffs give notice to the landowners. The court said it wasn't necessary, and so here we are.
But the city of Richmond didn't feel it necessary to tell them in 2014?
I think we've been through that. We went through that in the meeting. Next question?
No, we didn't really go through that. Why did you choose not to go on your own as the city of Richmond, talk to the residents before the court decision?
We didn't make that decision. Okay.
Do you think residents have a right to be angry about that, though? They're really not happy.
Listen, they're entitled to feel the way they feel. I'd be very angry if I was one of those landowners and found that I woke up one morning and found that there was this Aboriginal title which affected my property. Sure.
So you wouldn't be angry that the mayor didn't inform you?
Oh, you're quite entitled to be angry if that's what you want. Sure.
I wonder if police were called in like they are when parents show up to protest all these porn books being thrown into public schools for little kids. Just a question. Here's a Richmond homeowner who's had a home in Richmond, I think he said since 1975. He's not happy.
He doesn't have any answers. He knew what's going on. He sat there and enjoyed his sport.
He's talking about the mayor there.
$100,000 a year he makes.
Yeah.
I'm bitter, yes. My tax dollars are at work right now. And who knows? I thought at least we're going to get a gift card out of this deal. Got nothing here tonight.
Are you going to get the fight?
Oh, definitely. I'll be filing suit and stuff, right? I'll find out what my avenue is to go forward to protect my land. I've owned my land for more than enough years to know it's mine. I'm not giving it up without a fight.
Did you say to people about reconciliation? What does that mean to you?
No comment on that. I don't want to get started on that.
So this is just about land rights? Your fee simple rate?
It's what I paid for. That's what it's all about for me. I want to keep what I paid for. Or someone can buy me out.
Have you looked into what this means for reselling or getting a loan or anything like that, or is it all too soon?
I haven't looked at anything like that yet.
How long have you lived here?
1975. I grew up in Richmond. I elected that guy.
Do you have a mortgage on your property here in Richmond?
I do.
Have you spoken to your lender?
I have.
And what have they told you?
They are not renewing it.
Wow.
Can you take us back to when you first found out? I'm assuming it was a letter or online?
There was a letter that came in the mailbox.
what was going through your head?
Just mixed emotions. I've been paying for the city for no reason at all. I paid taxes, I bought the place. Now, lo and behold, I don't own my place. Not fair.
What did you make of what the lawyer said about Canada and the BC government not allowing government lawyers to argue the extinguishment of Aboriginal title?
I think that's just a bunch of words. It meant nothing inside at all. Everyone had their own defense and stuff. If they were so adamant they could allow the homeowners to know, we would have spoken up back then, not 2025.
This is just... We don't have a country if we're giving land back that we bargained for 150 years ago. Now, granted, some of these titles, maybe 10% across the country, most in BC, are in dispute. They haven't decided who really owns that land yet. But how can these Indian bands claim that they own that land? Who did they buy it from? Who did they take it from? Well, they've always been there. No, they haven't. And we know that based upon what we've heard in the last 5 or 10 minutes here on this show, that there's 3 Indian bands who believe they all own it. So what's going to happen next? They're all going to, what are they going to flip coins? See who has the land? Maybe a game of lacrosse? Beer pong? Like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We don't have a serious country. And if our governments don't stand up and decide that we are, in fact, a country, then somebody's going to have to do it, or we're just not one. And I certainly hope this resonates in Alberta. Now, this letter was circulating around social media this morning. City of North Vancouver, validity of your property title. Dear homeowner, our property lies on unceded Indigenous territory. Land never ceded or surrendered to the Crown by treaty. The city of North Vancouver sits within the traditional homelands of the Squamish, Tesil, Watuth, and Musqueam nations. These nations continue to assert Aboriginal title, a legal recognition of their inherent land. Now, we found out later that this is a fake. Our friend Jim McMurtry put this up and said, yeah, the letter's a fake. He was at the meeting in Richmond yesterday. And the question he says he kept hearing is, who's next? Who's next? Who's going next? Oh, well, here's the answer. First Nation files Aboriginal title claim to lands in Western Quebec. And Algonquin First Nation has filed a title claim in Quebec's Superior Court over large swaths of territory across the west of the province and is also seeking $5 billion from governments and crown corporations. Jean-Guy White Duck, chief of the Kitigan Zibi Anashebeg First Nation, says the Algonquin people must have a say in the way water, wildlife, and forestry are managed in their traditional territory. Meaningful reconciliation can't exist until that happens, he said in a recent interview. Billions of dollars have been taken out of our lands with limited return to our community, said White Duck, whose First Nation is located on the shores of the Gatineau River near Maniwaki, Quebec. You know what can't happen when it comes to reconciliation? Everything that's happening right now. You know what's needed? Some truth. Give me some truth, man. Why don't you just say, you know what? We gave up these lands like 150 years ago. I don't care if it was under duress. We gave them up. Deal with it amongst yourselves. Talk to your chiefs about it. They're the ones that did it. They're the ones that threw you under the bus and signed the treaties, legally valid treaties, by the way. Take it up with them. Take it up with them. Or are they in Vegas too much, or Atlantic City, or Mexico? Are they never home in their $575,000 mansion while you live in squalor on the reserve? This whole system is screwed so badly, and it's designed for perpetual poverty. which means we'll keep feeding the beast for as long as it continues. Somebody has got to have the balls to finally stand up and say something. Unions threaten general strike, vow to topple Smith government over Bill 2. Alberta's top labor leaders are threatening Smith's government with a province-wide general strike, recall campaigns, and national mobilization following the passage of the Back to School Act, which Danielle Smith had to use the notwithstanding clause to enact. So here's a left-wing pundit who seems gay adjacent from Alberta called Troy Pavlik. Listen to what Troy has to say.
In the coal mine has died. Danielle Smith's UCP has invoked the notwithstanding clause to remove the rights teachers are guaranteed under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Alberta Human Rights Act, and the Alberta Bill of Rights. This ends the strike, with teachers set to return to work on Wednesday. Some previous attempts to use the notwithstanding clause in Alberta include some absolute bangers, like denying Albertans who were forcefully sterilized by the government the right to sue, prohibiting same-sex marriage, and withholding medical care from trans kids. So, pretty great company. When we look down to the south and see the horror of families being ripped apart, citizens and non-citizens alike being abducted on the streets by unidentified masked men, and a judiciary directed for personal vengeance, not justice.
Okay, you know what the sad thing is that he believes everything he's saying right now, this guy, or she, or whatever this is. He believes it. He's not lying. And George Costanza said it best. It's not a lie if you believe it.
It's easy to say, how could they possibly have gone so far? Well, this is how. It's leaders eyeing a red line and poking their toes just over. It's standing by as collective rights are eroded to centralize power. It's empowering demagogues and the insurrectionists they encourage. We're frogs in the pot, and Danielle Smith is slowly turning up the heat. We all want our kids back in school, but if getting them there requires us ignoring everything we learned in social studies, then what's our education even for?
Hey, the kid doesn't understand that the notwithstanding clause is section 33 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And the Charter of Rights and Freedoms would not exist without that clause in it. It was demanded by the Premier of Alberta at the time, and a couple of other premiers too, but notably, I think it was Peter Lougheed at the time. This must be in this Charter of Rights and Freedoms we're talking about right now, or we're not signing. So they put it in. Notwithstanding clause allows a premier or a prime minister to go against all the tenets of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms for up to 5 years. And that means basically that you're giving the power to elected officials versus some unelected judge somewhere way far away, sitting on the Supreme Court or the Federal Court of Canada. Sometimes it works out in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. But where was that guy when all of the rights were being trampled on during the COVID response and the Freedom Convoy? I guess he didn't see things that way back then. But now suddenly, when teachers are forced back to work because kids have been out of school for a month, it's all about human rights. Isn't that amazing? Wow. And we kept saying to these people on the left about censorship and all of these rights being trampled 3-4 years ago. We kept saying, one day they're going to come for you. And then what? What are you going to do then? Oh, they'll never come for us. They did. And this I agree with. They have tried everything. I think Smith's government has tried everything. They've offered 6-figure salaries. They've offered to hire 3,000 new teachers. Nothing's good enough. It sounds to me like this is political. And there's a lot of connections between the NDP and the Alberta Teachers Association. I think all public unions should be disbanded, decertified and disbanded, like immediately. Immediately. Way, way too much power. And now, according to left-wing corporate CTV, hundreds of students are expected to walk out of Alberta classrooms on Thursday. The provincial government swiftly passed the bill in the early hours Tuesday, using the notwithstanding clause to send teachers back to work after they were on strike for 3 weeks as contract negotiations screeched to a halt. Matilda Barron, 16, with the Edmonton Student Advocacy Association, said she'll be joined by hundreds of her peers in support of teachers. You know, we were talking about kids being brainwashed in schools, and it's been going on for quite some time. Our friend Raylan Fox posted this on her Facebook today, and I took it and stole it. And first of all, I researched it to see if it was true. And it is. Remember every morning in school when we were going back in the day, we sang the national anthem, the Lord's Prayer, and I think some schools did God Save the Queen. But I don't remember us doing it in school, not God Save the Queen, maybe in elementary school, but not after that. Now, in schools, and this has been going on for the past 10 years, for more than a decade, schools have been opening each day with land acknowledgements read over the intercom. What began as a gesture has become a daily exercise in compelled speech and one small part of critical race theory, a dogma, an incorrect one that is being forced upon our children. Speaking of dogma, climate change. I told you a little bit about this yesterday, and this is from Lioness of Judah Ministry on Substack, exposing the darkness. Hell freezes over. Noted billionaire climate alarmist Bill Gates slams doomsday view of climate change in stunning new memo. Before we get to that stunning new memo, let's have a look at a speech Gates gave just this past June.
He said the Green Revolution was a miracle. It raised productivity of 3 key cereal crops, but primarily for Asia. It didn't do a good job on the ecosystems in Africa or the wide variety of crops used there. So amazingly, despite low land costs, low labor costs, sub-Saharan Africa still imports billions of dollars of crops every year from all over the world. In fact, we have the twin challenges of both population growth and climate change that's pushing down the productivity that we have on those farms today. And so this is quite alarming. And if you go out to 2040, 2050, 2060, it gets substantially worse because even in the best case, climate's temperature increases are continuing. And so if we just let this continue, we'll be moving away from that green revolution to sort of a brown regression where you have lots of crops dying because of drought and heat effects. And even in the next decade, that will increase hunger. And if you let it go on, you'd have huge amounts of starvation. The projection just for 2030 is 32 million more hungry people. And so that's an incredible tragedy. Most of that is going to be women and children. When you have food shortages, they're the ones that suffer most. And we see that in the relative rates of malnutrition. And so as Ndidi said, what can we do? This is an unacceptable situation. What is the...
Okay, so in your opinion, does that sound like climate alarmism to you? This is like 3-4 months ago. Oh, yeah, people are starving all over the world. Women and children are going to die. Never mind CO2, if there is more of it in the atmosphere, will have a greening effect, causing more people to actually be able to eat because more things will grow. But does that sound like climate alarmism to you? I would say yeah. Yeah. And that echoes, actually, the politicians are the ones echoing him worldwide, except for in the United States right now, thank God. But this article, going back to the Substack here, hell freezes over. Bill Gates slams doomsday view of climate change in this stunning new memo. Ooh, the sound of his voice, I just can't stand it. So let's see. Gates says there's a doomsday view of climate change that goes like this. Keep in mind, COP30 is coming up too. In a few decades, cataclysmic climate change will decimate civilization. The evidence is all around us. Just look at all the heat waves and storms caused by rising global temperatures. Nothing matters more than limiting the rise in temperature. And then he says, fortunately for all of us, this view is wrong. Although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, it will not lead to humanity's demise. People will be able to live and thrive in most places on Earth for the foreseeable future. Emissions projections have gone down, and with the right... Where? I thought they were going up. We're still being told they're going up by the people he used to be allied with. And now this? What the hell happened? And with the right policies and investments, innovation will allow us to drive emissions down much further. What happened? Is there a feud in paradise? Is the cabal cracking? What exactly happened there? That seems to be a major step back. Now, he couldn't denounce it outright. He couldn't just say, it's all a scam. He couldn't, because then he'd make himself look really bad, right? So he's trying to do it mildly. I'll bet you in 6 months to a year, he is completely and totally against it and pro-fossil fuels. Or maybe there's a new fuel coming out that we haven't heard about yet from the moon. You heard about that fuel? I've heard about that fuel. Yeah. Okay. I played you this yesterday.
We're not.
Okay, this is a former Satanist leader called Rian Swegalar. Listen to what I know you saw this yesterday, but listen to what he says at the end of this clip when he's asked what the one world religion is going to be.
Part of the one world religion.
No, because they will not be able to agree on what is really the gospel and which version of the Bible is the right one. All this, the things they are fighting about at the moment, is what's going to happen there. And then they're going to say, well, you are the most divided religion in the world. We cannot accept this as a... So whichever religion, and I have an idea, because it's also not Satanism, but I have an idea which one it will be, that will say, this is the religion, and this is what every leader in our religion agrees on is our dogma and our religion and our teachings. And yeah.
Do you mind sharing which one you think it is?
It's Islam.
So today, somebody sent me this. It's been making the rounds on social media for a while. I think I saw it once a few months ago, and I went, yeah. But now it seems somehow much more relevant than it did then, because everything's moving so fast, right? The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. What are their colors? What do those colors mean? Have a look.
Simplest explanation of the book of Revelation, especially the first four horses of the apocalypse. The question is, why these four? Why these colors? There is information contained in the colors. God is not trying to confuse us, and he's not just throwing colors out there. There must be a rational justification for why he picked these four. Take a look at your screen. What do you see? Here's the symbol, the national symbol of next door neighbor to Israel, Jordan. What colors do you see? Can you help me here? White, red, black, and green. And then if you go next door, inside the territory of Israel, there is the Palestinian, symbolized by that flag. What colors do you see on the national flag of Sudan? Let's go to Kuwait. Let's go to the United Arab Emirates. What colors do you see? All right, well, let's just go to Libya because it could just be coincidence here. Okay, let's go to Afghanistan. What do you see? Let's go to Syria. What do you see? Let's go to Iraq. What do you see? I wonder if God has successfully communicated something.
The color of the apocalypse. What is that all about?
The colors, it speaks of the riders and horsemen of the apocalypse. So we have the white horse, symbolizing conquest. We have the red horse, symbolizing war. Then we have the black horse, want and famine. And then we have the pale green, the green horse, which is that of death. When you watch and I watch not only what happened in Israel, but what happened in America and what happened around the world, with all this hatred of Israel, it was all done in the name of a flag. And that's the flag of Palestine. And by the way, Palestine means the land of the Philistines. So you're calling the promised land the land of the Philistines. And so the flag, what are the colors? White as the white horse, red for the red horse, black for the black horse, and green for the green horse. All the colors of the apocalypse. And the other thing is, Vlad, every nation in the world, the nations that have that configuration are all enemies who want Israel destroyed.
I don't know anymore. Because every day there's a new curveball in the dirt. Should I swing at it or should I? And so you go to biblesources.info and you see that when it comes to the pale horse, greenish, sickly green, not necessarily that bright green that flies in the Palestinian flag or any of the countries, Palestinian countries that have those colors in their flag. That's a bright green. This is more of a sickly, pukish green, pale. So there is a lot of dispute out there as to whether this is something or nothing. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. That's it for the show tonight, you guys. Thank you much for being here. If you want to become an All Access member, you still have time. The show goes off social media. The live show goes off social media on Friday. That will be the last show. You're still going to get content on all of the usual social media like Facebook and YouTube and X. I am going to be posting content from shows, interviews as well. But if you want the live experience and the extension and everything that comes with the show, you got to become a member at shadowdavis.com. All access members, Nighthawks, you don't have to be there live every night. You can watch them all back to back to back to back if you want much later on. And there's about 400 shows on the website right now going back a couple of years. That's what you get, all that content for becoming an all access member, an all access Nighthawk at shadowdavis.com. And if you do that, don't forget to join the Telegram group, the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. I'll see you guys there in a couple of minutes. For the rest, I'll catch you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another one. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Bye for now.